ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निरुल्कल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलनां वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ So we are discussing the last pramana, the Veda, and the definition of pramana applies very well to Veda also, and that part we are discussing, and very important also to discuss this. So once you know what Veda can give you, what Veda can be helpful to you, once it is clear, and it cannot be known, what the knowledge which is given by the Veda cannot be known through any other means. And knowledge is very, very useful, etc. If one becomes clear, then your Shraddha increases in the Pramana. Just as your Shraddha already is established in your sense organs. And therefore you are able to get things done through the sense organs. So many things you are able to do. Same way, Veda also serves a purpose for you. And so if your Shraddha is well established, then definitely the advantage you get by operating those means of knowledge, especially the Veda, will be very much. So we have to understand, and that's how we are discussing this particular pramana. Of course, Pujya Swamiji discusses it at a great length. Anytime when he gets a chance, he was getting a chance, he used to discuss this pramanatvam of the Veda at a very elaborately. He was discussing. Anyway, so Veda is a pramanam for both the section, for both the jnanam, karma jnanam and atma jnanam. And in karma jnanam, of course, when it talks about heaven and other things, devatas and punya papas, etc., one has to accept it simply. One has to simply accept it without any doubt. And that is why even the mimamsa, etc., that means analysis of the words, become very, very important. So Veda being basically a Shabda Pramana, one should not bring one's own subjectivity, one's own conclusion into the Veda. One has to understand what Veda says as it is. When people interpret, when Veda talks about Swarga, people here, so-called intellectuals and rationals, they interpret in their own way what Swarga is, what Naraka is. They say most, the situation which provides you a lot of cushion, etc., is Swarga. And the situation which is very, very uncomfortable, very adverse, it is Naraka. There is no Swarga and Naraka other than that. And even so many acharyas interpret that way. They talk even publicly also. That shows you don't have a Shraddha in the Veda. Veda says there is a particular loka called Swarga, etc. Then definitely we have to take it as it is. And therefore, we cannot interpret in our own way what Veda says. So one must be highly dispassionate to gain, that kind of an understanding. One must have a lot of Shraddha in that for those words. Only then one can understand what Veda has to say. So one should not, otherwise the tendency will be there. If that Shraddha is not there, one can twist the meaning to one's own liking, etc. And people like this kind of a meaning. Because here we have to simply believe what Veda says. And instead, if you interpret like that, they like that kind of a speaker, because they see how beautifully he interpreted, Swarga and Naraka and everything. Well, it is totally wrong thing to do that. And so a speaker may have that kind of a liking to draw the attention of the public and, to draw a large crowd, and by interpreting the Veda in its own way. Well, it's a dangerous thing to do. One should not do. One should have a total dispassion. Whatever Veda says, it's a pramana, whatever data it gives, that's correct. Just as the data provided my eyes, my ears, I have no question, whatever it is. And the same way here also, they are all apaurushaya vishaya. The subject matter is basically apaurushaya, which is not available to me through my senses, etc. Well, therefore, whatever Veda says, I will have to accept it. And in fact, the acharyas were, Vedic acharyas, of course, well, to avoid this kind of twisting, they have evolved a very highly evolved system of analysis of words. And in the process, definitely, we call it that mimamsa. And in the process, we come to analyze and correct our habitual way of interpreting, habitual way of wrong thinking, habitual way of interpreting, depending upon my own likes. And here, especially in Mimamsa, etc., they always go by what was said earlier, what is said later. All these things has been taken into account. Upakrama, upasamhara. We have also a method of analysis. Upakrama, upasamharo, abhyasa, purvata, phalam, arthavadopapattisha, lingam tatparye, etc. So these are the shadlingas are there. 6 ways of interpreting. And so there should not be any contradiction so far as these are the ways how Veda becomes a pramana. So if the earlier and later statements have to be meaningful, there should be no contradiction. And that's how what you find in the Upakrama and what you find at the end, of course, later statements will have a consistency. And it is there. In fact, Brahma Sutra's the whole chapter has been devoted to this consistency. Consistency between all Upanishads. Very, very difficult job. Very difficult job. Even in a single Upanishad, you don't find a consistency. If you just translate the mantras as it is, after translation, please check. A single Upanishad, translate all as it is. Literal translation. You find it doesn't make a sense. And there you find some contradictions also. And then if you open another Upanishad, and then you find there is a contradiction between two Upanishads. Then you find a contradiction between the Veda and the Smriti, like Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad. So many things are there. And Vyasacharya did a great job. It's a very, very enormous task, I would say. Well, he showed the samanvaya, the consistency between all the Shruti Vakyas. To resolve the doubt pertaining, it's not there is no contradiction, but you may have a doubt. Well, then he resolved those doubts through this kind of a thing. And that's how the first chapter is called Samanvaya Adhyaya. Anyway, and in ascertaining the meaning of course, the words of mantra, etc., definitely grammar is the first thing, the essential thing. But grammar gives you a literal meaning. Then you definitely require semantics, by which you look into the whole sentence. See, the word has one meaning. When word employed in the sentence, it has a different meaning. We should understand very well. As I told you, we have done that. Pakistan as such has one meaning. But when Pakistan was defeated, that sentence you make, then it has a different meaning. Then you cannot take the country was defeated. Here the cricket team was defeated. So a word employed in a sentence will give you a different meaning. And sometimes you will have to think logically. You should have a logic behind to ascertain a meaning. If you may give in a sentence any meaning, but it doesn't fit into the logic of the whole sentence. If you keep that meaning, of course, the meaning of the whole sentence becomes different. And therefore, you should definitely, give a meaning properly. So, all this semantics is involved, linguistics is involved, grammar is involved. And well, definitely, they have analyzed, the acharyas have analyzed. That's how we call them Purva Mimamsaka. Mimamsa means a method of analysis of the words. And they have a very evolved method of analysis. And through that, they have given a proper meaning to the entire sections of the Veda. And therefore, then we are not supposed to twist, or here in America they call spin. You spin the whole thing. You need not spin the thing. We should take it as it is. Don't interpret loka, swarga, loka, etc. like a proper country or proper situation. Or somebody says, my house is a swarga. We have all harmony here and very, very comfortable environment, etc. And so therefore, Swami, this is swarga. What else swarga I can believe? Yeah, okay, no problem. Don't believe. So this is how people take it. We have to take literally that there is a swarga loka. There are devatas. There are punya papas. As it is, we have to accept without any kind of a twist. And moreover, one more thing that is most important is, well, before you interpret, human experience also pressed into the service. And you can understand very well in the Upanishad. All the time we say, the whole Upanishad gives this knowledge of Brahman, etc. We definitely take into account our own experiences like Jagrata Avastha, Sapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha, and other than that also. What happens to, in a moment of joy, what happens, etc., etc. So we analyze properly. But taking into the human experience, accepting the human experience, and therefore there is no question of believing as it is. When human experience is taken into account and analyzed properly, then there is a question of giving some new meaning. And therefore, so whole this thing makes us understand that we have to take whatever is there in the Veda as it is, and I should have a Shraddha and being a dispassionate totally, that I don't have any kind of agenda behind giving a new meaning or twisting the meaning, etc. I should not have any agenda. And well, the Veda should not contradict itself. It should not contradict human experience, and nor should it contradict any knowledge you gain through the other valid means of knowledge. It should not contradict perception. So wait a minute. It contradicts your perception. It contradicts perception. Perception says there is Dvaitam, duality. And you and your Veda says that it is all Advaitam. But who says that perception proves Dvaitam? First prove perception proves Dvaitam. Please tell me how you prove it. Perception reveals various names and forms. It doesn't prove duality. Duality is proved here. Duality is proved here. Just because you see many parts does not mean that there are many things. Yeah, just because you see varieties in the ornaments, lakhs of ornaments are there. It doesn't mean that they are really many. So perception reveals names and form. Perception does not prove duality. Never. In fact, Pujya Swamiji has proved perception reveals non-duality. We have gone to one step further. But where? So we have already discussed in Tattva Bodha. And so in case if you feel that no, Swamiji, I don't remember, I want it, then I will give you a page number later. I will give you on Monday. Right now, because to search, it may take 2, 3, 4 minutes. But we have also discussed that perception proves non-duality. Really, all names and forms are proven by perception. And if all the names and forms are not there at all, how will you prove non-duality? Basically, forget about any other thing. I will give you our own example. You are seeing me right now, right? And this is an experience, and that is a perception, okay? Sensory perception. And you are seeing. Now, basically, you are a seer. I am seen, and there is a vritti. Darshan vritti, I mean thought. Basically, all these three prove that there is one consciousness. How will you please prove the seer without consciousness? That's all. Please prove a object of seeing without consciousness. Please prove. Try. No one dares to do that. Will please prove the thought of seeing. Right? The seeing takes place in the mind. Please prove without consciousness. Please prove it. I mean, all the three has a basis in what? One consciousness. So perception proves non-duality. But Swamiji, there are, okay, your consciousness is there. Your consciousness is there. And, and then seer and seeing and object of seeing also are there. But I am saying you that seer is there, consciousness is there, and seer is not there, consciousness is there. I am telling you, without consciousness, prove the seer. Without consciousness, prove the object of seeing. Without consciousness, prove the existence of thought. Please prove. Then your seer, seen, etc. are independent, and my consciousness is independent. These three, all the three are just superimposition. They are all superimposition upon one consciousness. They are mithya. How can you say they are mithya? Your seer is not there, still my consciousness is there. Your object of seeing is not there, still my consciousness is there. And your so-called object, I mean thought of seeing is also not there, still my consciousness is there. Who is Satyam and what is Satyam and what is Mithya? Please tell me. Pot is there, my clay is there. Your pot is not there, my clay is still there. What is Satyam? What is Satyam? Pot is superimposition upon the clay. Because a seer can never be proved without consciousness. Object of seeing cannot be proved without consciousness. A thought of seeing cannot be proved without consciousness. Consciousness is proved by consciousness. And therefore perception reveals non-duality, that there is one consciousness, which is Satyam, which is Abhaditam. Very, very simple. Very ingeniously Pujya Swamiji proved it. So perception reveals duality. Who says though? You do not have a thinking basically. That's the problem. If you think little bit in the light of Vedanta and if you have the Shraddha, definitely you cannot, it will never be a thing that you cannot arrive at a duality, non-duality. If you think properly, you will arrive at non-duality. In fact, duality is just words. Simply words. Duality is merely a concept. Dvaitam is a concept. It's a notion. It has no reality other than the words. It has no reality other than the words. And therefore there is non-duality throughout. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of examples are there. Many things means there is a duality, manyness. It's not so. Many things, even though there are many things, in reality it is one alone. And therefore, this is, anyway, so Veda should not talk which is contradictory to the perception. And if it really does not talk which is contrary to the perception, we should not worry about other pramanas, because all the other pramanas are basically based on perception. Perception is a very, very important thing. And so if Veda does not contradict perception itself, then there is no question that Veda contradicts inference and presumption, etc. No way. And therefore, the analysis determining the meaning that does not contradict is called Mimamsa. Could you follow? Now, so you take a mantra of a Upanishad and analyze properly, and you will find that this non-duality is right. So you have to analyze properly the words, and therefore grammar has one role. Grammar gives you, grammar always helps you in giving a direct meaning. But then semantics, etc., all then definitely we will have to take into account implied meaning, etc. Because in a given sentence, semantics means a word has a different meaning or a proper meaning in a sentence. Grammar independently gives the meaning of the word. Like pachakaha, if I say pachakaha. Well, pach dhatu means to cook. Okay, pachakaha, I have added aka. Pacha plus aka. And aka pratyaya is always in the sense of agency. Agency. I mean, one who does that. One who does cooking. Okay, so pachakaha means a cook. Simple, ho gaya. That's a different thing. Now the pachaka word is used in a sentence. There, of course, keeping in the whole meaning of the sentence, we have to give the meaning to the each word. And that may differ. That may differ. That there, the gaunarth also come, figurative meaning can come, implied meaning can come, etc., etc., and which fits logically into the sentence. So the semantics, etc., are very, very important. And therefore, all this is a part of Mimamsa. All this is part of Mimamsa. Lakshana we do, etc., in a Mahavakya. Definitely, it involves that. So anyway, so now coming back to the difference between this Karma Jnanam and the two sections of the Veda, the knowledge given by the Karma Kanda is certainly going to be indirect. The words talking about heaven give rise to knowledge, that is bound to be paroksha. Even though the whole Veda is a body of knowledge, but the knowledge which is given by the both sections are different kind of a knowledge. One gives the indirect knowledge, one gives the immediate knowledge. So definitely the earlier section of the Veda, the Karma Kanda gives you knowledge regarding anything, regarding Devata, regarding Punya Papam, regarding our Swarga, etc. All this is all indirect. And we say also further, Nitya Aparoksha Jnanam. Nitya Paroksha Jnanam. I'm sorry. Nitya Paroksha Jnanam. Nitya Paroksha Jnanam. It means it will remain forever a indirect knowledge. We remain forever means what? Because suppose if after death I have done good karmas and then definitely I will go to heaven, then it is not paroksham. Heaven is not paroksham for me. Heaven becomes pratyaksham. That's correct. But in a human life I am talking. As a human being, and whatever the means of knowledge etc. are given to you, well, you cannot prove Swarga etc. That is one thing. And when you operate a means of knowledge called Veda, especially the Karma Kanda, it will give you the knowledge about Devatas, Punya Papas and Swarga etc. Well, but still it will be indirect knowledge throughout the human life. Throughout the human life, you will never come across any Devata. You will never come across Punya Papa. You will never come across Swarga. So now knowledge that the performance of a given ritual will give me Punya etc., which will turn into heaven, is purely Paroksha Jnana. And Puja Swami generally called Paroksha Jnana means Shraddha. So it is Shraddha that because it is Paroksham, then still you consider it as a true, means what? Right? So, that there is a Swarga and taking it faithfully, you perform also certain karmas here so that because you want to go. So it's purely Shraddha. Anyway, born of Veda, but definitely it is Shraddha, means not with a pending discovery. You know very well all this we discuss. It's I believe with a pending discovery. I believe right now. But then pending discovery means later on it will be proved. When I will go to Swarga, definitely it will become a proof for me that yes, there is Swarga, etc. Of course, you don't call anybody or do a WhatsApp. Okay, I have reached. Don't worry about it. About me, I have done a lot of rituals, etc. And I have reached to the Swarga now. I am enjoying. Don't worry about me. Don't do any kind of Gmail email to me. I am very, very happy. Never inquire about me, etc. Anyway, so it is Shraddha. It works with Shraddha. That's how we say Veda becomes fruitful for the people who have Shraddha. Even Atma Jnanam requires tremendous Shraddha because you believe till pending discovery. Of course, but it's a different knowledge which I am going to talk. It's a different knowledge, but initially you will have to believe. Shastra says you are Brahman and I should believe. That's how they have included Shraddha in Sadhan Chatushta itself. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishwasaha Shraddha. Everywhere you find this. Without Shraddha, you cannot, go further. So, Well, so I have Shraddha for it. And so when words, whether they are, from a given person or from an enlightened person, I mean, who is Vedika, etc., and or from the Veda itself, well, talk about an object that is away from me, the knowledge gathered would be, we call it as a paroksha. But if object is just you, if object is away from you and talked by Veda, well, definitely you require Shraddha. And that is indirect knowledge of object of the object. But then, if the object is just you, which is already self-evident, means you need not have to operate any means of knowledge to prove. And then, the knowledge will be aparoksha. When Veda talks about you, the pramata, and which is self-evident to you, even you don't require Veda also for that to prove the existence of that. That is self-evident. What is self-evident means evident to yourself. It is all. You don't require any means of knowledge for being an evident. That is self-evident. And therefore, self-evident or self-existence also you can say. Self-existent. You need not have to go to any means of knowledge. You need not have to resort to any means of knowledge to prove the existence of the self. Self is sufficient to prove its existence. It is not dependent on any means of knowledge. That is what we call it as a self-existence. Self-existence of the self is proven by the self. I am. That's all. What means of knowledge? No means of knowledge. In fact, first I am is essential, then all other means of knowledge comes to operation. Right? Then mind also comes to operation, senses comes to operation, etc. Anyway, so the knowledge will be aparoksha jnana, immediate knowledge. So, if the object is just you, which is self-evident, and still about that you, if Veda has to say something which is very, very helpful to you, and which you cannot gain through any other means of knowledge, and that's how that portion of the Veda becomes a pramana also. And then definitely, this kind of a knowledge will be aparoksha jnana. And that is you are Brahman, etc. is aparoksha jnanam. So here the subject matter is just you, and the nature, as the very nature of the sought. I mean, Brahman, you are the Brahman that is sought. You are the seeker as such. So you should be interested in, because what you are seeking in your life, means what is sought is nothing but you. That's what Veda says. So it is very important. So Brahman is said to be the subject matter because you happen to be Brahman, or you are the subject matter. Let's say that way. You are the subject matter, but it is revealed that you are Brahman. What you are seeking, you the seeker, what you are seeking, what is sought in your life is you. Very, very essential. All our efforts go, all of our efforts from day, morning to evening. So much efforts. They just go away. Only I require one lazy boy chair and one cup of coffee. Nothing else required. See and then still you will have a more gain compared to all the people who are striving day in and day out. After 60 years, the person doesn't get that much you will gain by sitting in a lazy boy chair with a cup of coffee. That's all. Because what you are seeking is just yourself. That's how it is. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. People are searching everything. People are searching fearlessness. People are searching limitlessness. People are searching happiness. People are searching peace. People are searching all kinds of freedom from discomfort and this and that, sadness and all these you. Abba. Therefore, I require to sit now. Put a brake on the legs and require to sit and have at least a French Puja Swamiji calls it. One cup may not be enough of a coffee. Okay, every 2 hours take one more cup. Another 1 hour, another cup. But just sit and listen. But Swamiji, I am not able to sit. That's why Karma Yoga is there, sir. Don't worry. It's not that simple. I am just joking. It's not that simple to sit. Simply sitting Swami. You know that simply sitting Swami is not simple. Really. To sit is not simple. our own ragadveshas will not allow to sit. It's very difficult. So ragadveshas has to be handled properly. At least what you say they believe. They will not all the time, have a hold over you. Karma yoga is essential, and karma yoga is impossible without karma. Yeah. Karma is possible without karma yoga, but karma yoga is impossible without karma. And therefore, karma has a role. And then jnanam, of course, is. So, karma and jnanam serves the purpose, everything. And anyway, but the people who really have gained the capability of, becoming free from their own ragadveshas. And so basically their minds are free from the agitations, etc. and more or less this kind of a binding desires. They can definitely sit down. That is how the sannyasa is there. Then people can relieve. They are relieved by the society, by the shastra. That's a shastra sanction. Sannyasa is a shastra sanction. And then definitely they can sit and ponder on this self. So the knowledge, of course, in the end portion of the Veda is immediate, unlike the knowledge of the Karmakanda. Karmakanda is whatever the knowledge given by the Karmakanda is the indirect knowledge, Paroksha Jnanam, and whatever is given by the Vedanta, of course, is a immediate knowledge. Now this Aparoksha Jnanam given by the Vedanta, is also called, Vedanta is called Upanishad. And word Upanishad means Atma Jnanam, and that is Phalavat. So that will show it that word Upanishad has both the components of the definition of Pramana. That we'll see that. So Upanishad is basically a descriptive word with two upasargas, Upa and Ni. Upa plus Ni is one part and Sad is another part. That's all we will have to do. And when you combine, that Sad becomes Shad. Because of that Ikara in the previous word, Na plus E, Upa Ni. So Na plus E is there. Because of that E, it's a Panini's rule. Because of that E, the Sakara turns to Shakara, Murdhanya. Anyway, but Sad is basically a dhatu or a root, which is not used as of course, a word, and therefore you will have to convert when you use a word. It's definitely Upanishad is a word, right? It's not a dhatu, it's not a root. So, but the Sad is a root. Then convert into word. Then only you can put together. Like our Pitambar. Suppose a word. So you make a samasa that Pitam plus an Ambaram. But both are words. There is no root there. Anyway, so what I am saying, this is here not a samasa, but when you form a word, they are all components, we'll have to think properly what are those components. So Sad is basically a root and you will have to convert into a word. Then Upanishad becomes a word. It remains as a dhatu only. So, and then you apply that zero affix. Pujya Swami's word, it is zero affix. Quip pratyay you add, then Sad root becomes now, quip is a zero. Zero means it doesn't, when it does a job and when it leaves, there is no trace behind. But they convert the dhatu into a word. And definitely, it will make this dhatu into an agent of an action. Agent of what? But agent of the, indicated by the root meaning. So the root reveals Sad dhatu reveals that it is Visharanam, means it is wearing out. Gamanam means reaching, knowing, etc. And Avasadanam means putting an end to. And therefore, when you add quip, becomes an agent. Then agent of what? Agent of wearing out, agent of taking you somewhere, agent of putting an end to, etc. etc. So this is how it is. Okay, but what is it that does this action? You are saying that agent does this action. But what is that agent? Who is that agent who does this job of wearing out? Who does the job of taking you somewhere or reaching you? Or who does this job of putting an end to? What is that agent? Well, Upani is agent. Upani is agent which does the job of this. And therefore, that is indicated by the two prefix upa and ni. And upa means something near, of course. And near is, of course, Brahman is very near, right? When never separate from you. So it is you. Of course, it is looked upon, something to be gained, something, I mean, it is a sought, but definitely it is you. And therefore, definitely, therefore I should know it. So if Brahman is me, what separates me from Brahman is basically ignorance. Because Brahman is non-separate from me, but still I am seeking as if it is separate from me. Therefore, it's a question of an ignorance. And therefore, basically, this upa means which is near, and Brahman is most near, which is non-separate from me. And therefore, upa indicates Brahman. And so, the very one which is sought after in my life. And then ni. Ni means nishchaya jnanam. There is no need of writing nishchaya jnanam. Jnanam means which is ascertained properly. That is only called jnanam. Otherwise, it will be a doubt. So why nishchaya? Ni means nishchaya jnanam, you are saying. Because that knowledge, that Brahman is myself, should be a clear knowledge. So ni means, of course, jnanam, but it should be clear. Why clear? Because, this kind of a jnanam is given by Mahavakya. Mahavakya tells you that Brahman is non-separate from you, or you are Brahman. But then that Mahavakya reveals something, Mahavakya, if I don't analyze properly, then this Mahavakya is not an equation for me. Because basically Mahavakya tells you are Brahman. You are Brahman. Then I and Brahman I cannot equate properly. I and Ishvara I cannot equate properly. Because I have lots of doubts. Because when I look at myself, I don't find that I am Brahman. I am the one who is subject to birth and death. I am subject to punya papam, etc. I am having so many limitations. I am limited in knowledge, limited in power. All the way limited. And Brahman means limitless, everywhere. If you say Brahman means Ishvara, well then definitely, still everything, he is the Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman, everything. On he is Karma Phaladata and he is Antaryami, he is this and he is the creator of the entire universe and sustainer and resolver. And well, I find I am a created and all this. So I am a creature. He is a creator. So that doesn't make any sense. And therefore it requires lots of analysis. Lots of analysis. Why Swamiji you are saying lots of analysis? Even after listening to Mahavakya for 15 years, still I am not ready to accept. Swamiji, I am not Brahman. People will say that. Pujya Swamiji described it very well. I am not Brahman. So somehow it doesn't percolate into me. This jnanam does not percolate into me. Therefore, ni is very essential. Ni means a clear understanding. Nishchaya jnanam means clear understanding is essential. It is not simple, even though 3 words are there, tattvamasi. What is sought after by me in life is the very nature of you, seeker. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. And therefore, basically, tattvamasi and the padartha, etc. also, just a literal meaning. Tat means that Ishvara and Tvam means you. Tat means that which is sought after, and Tvam means the seeker. How can the seeker is a sought? That is impossible. Then if the seeking itself is not possible. If seeker is the sought, how the seeking takes place? Therefore, sought should be other than the seeker, right? What is sought after by you must be different from you. How can you say it is you? So it is not simple. And therefore, it requires a clear understanding. Ni is okay, proper. Okay, I am Brahman, I don't know. And therefore, ignorance is a problem. Everything I know. And therefore, knowledge is required, I know. But ni shows a clear understanding through Mahavakya, of course. But then, lot of inquiry has to be done, vichara is to be done. The whole pramana, once you enter into Vedanta, basically, the whole pramana pursuit is they call it as a vicharatmika, means in the form of inquiry and analysis, nothing else. And therefore one has to gain the asset, because this thing, why Pujya Swamiji was telling, many people, our sadhakas believe this study, etc., attending class and all this will give a theoretical knowledge. They have this kind of a thing. And then, we will gain a practical knowledge by sitting in a samadhi or whatever in their ways, whatever they think of. The knowledge itself is a result that is impossible to understand. Very knowledge is the liberation, is impossible. Knowledge gives liberation, they say that. Knowledge gives the liberation. You are free, basically. You are free already. Not that you will gain moksha. If you have to gain moksha, okay, then now this is a theoretical and you do something and then you become free. It's not a question of becoming free. You are free. It is to be, the form of a to be, not to become. And therefore, dropping the notion is the liberation. That's all. Dropping this notion that I am not free is freedom. That is where Mahavakya works. Mahavakya shows of oneness means what? Brahman, which is already free, is you right now. Asi indicates a present tense. Present tense means you need not have to wait. You don't postpone. Shastra does not postpone. You don't postpone moksha. That's very essential. Anyway, so we'll have, we should have that clear understanding regarding this, and therefore prefix ni is appropriately used. Upa means Brahman, which is nothing but me, you, or me, I, and because Upa means near. Near to me is this Brahman, which is non-separate from me. And ni means a clear understanding. So Upa plus ni is equal to clear understanding of Brahman, which is non-separate from me. And what it does, now bring that Sad. Now bring that Sad. And therefore, so Anadhigatatam now you can understand very well. So this clear understanding of Brahman, which is non-separate from me, that this knowledge, this kind of an understanding, you will not get by any other means of knowledge. And therefore Vedanta is a Swatantra Pramana. It's an independent means of knowledge, because Anadhigatattvam of the definition of Pramana applies very well here. Anadhigatattvam. Anadhigatattvam means the knowledge which you cannot arrive at by any other means of knowledge. Then the definition of Pramanas is appropriate, and that fits very well into Vedanta or Upanishad. And it is Phalavat also, because now brings Sad. So clear understanding, Upava plus Ni indicates Anadhigatattvam, a clear understanding of the Brahman, which is non-separate from me, is brought out by this Vedanta, which we cannot arrive at by any other means of knowledge, because everywhere you require Pramata. Without Pramata you cannot gain any knowledge. And here the very notion, I am Pramata, the Shastra says it is your notion. Because you, the Pramata is Brahman, means you are not Pramata. You will have to drop Pramatritvam. You will have to drop Pramatritvam, because it is oneness. Oneness means not addition. Oneness is not an addition. Yeah, either of that it stays. And therefore, you basically go to that Pramanam or Vedanta as a Pramata, you go there. And then Shastra knocks off that you are not Pramata. So here Pramatritvam itself is proven as a notion. So that is why we said yesterday, without Pramata, how can I know? If I am not a Pramata, who knows? Except, that doesn't stay here. It doesn't stay here, because if Brahman is other than you, then you should be retained as a Pramata. Please understand. To know this, which is other than me, definitely I, the knower, is required. But if Brahman is you, then definitely the Pramatritvam is negated here. So drop the notion, you are Pramata. That is essential. And that has an empirical reality. Don't worry. Nothing will happen to you. You will, after knowing that you are not knower, still you will be knower. What are you talking? I am talking proper. After knowing, after knowing that there is no sunrise, yet there is a sunrise next morning. Yeah, that's how it is. That is not the mithyatvam. It is not a non-existent thing. It is because it will not turn to be shunyam. Not that kind of a thing. But you will know that there is something more real as yourself compared to Pramatrutam. Just go beyond that through Mahavakya. You will find through analysis that the Pramatrutvam stands on. The very existence of Pramata is dependent upon Brahman. And so you are Brahman. Now instead of saying I am Pramata, after thorough analysis and inquiry of the Mahavakya, well, I say I am Brahman. And that is the identity revealed by Mahavakya. And therefore, if Pramata has to know Brahman which is separate from itself, then Pramata is required. Then without Pramata it is impossible to know. But the very Pramatruttam itself is here in question. And the truth of the Pramata is revealed by the Mahavakya. And therefore this kind of a thing is not available to any other means, through any means of knowledge. Therefore Anadhigatattvam is there. And Phalavattam is definitely that Sad, which has become from the root. Now it has become a word, agent. So it wears out. And it wears out what? Undesirable things. Phalavat. Okay? It wears out all undesirable things. And therefore very, very essential to know. Undesirable. All undesirable. Fear, undesirable. Unhappiness, undesirable. Discomfort within oneself, undesirable. Feeling lack within, undesirable. Unhappiness, undesirable. Birth, death, undesirable. Punya papam, undesirable. All kartrutvam, undesirable. Big load. Kartrutvam is a very big load. All guilt and hurt is born of just kartrutvam and bhoktrutvam. So bhoktrutvam, undesirable. Okay, don't worry. So Sad means is an agent of wearing out of all these undesirable things. And therefore Vedanta is not merely has an Anadhigatattvam, but it also serves a purpose. It is fruitful. Phalavat means fruitful. And therefore, definitely the host of anarthas, anartha vratan, if you remember in Kenopanisad, in the initial bhashyam, it has been discussed very well. Whole the meaning of the word Upanishad, Bhashyakara discusses at a great length. So the host of anarthas, all that group of whole anarthas, of course they go. But they go but then come back. Because that's my experience. Any anartha goes, but then they come back also. And they enter through any door. If I even close all the doors, these anarthas come from any door. Even they may come through the drainage line also. So sometimes they come. And therefore, no, they go for forever. How can you say? Because they put an end to. Yeah, that's another meaning. Visharana, that is first thing, wears out. But then avasadanam. Avasadanam means avasanam. Avasanam means a death, basically. Avasadanam or avasanam means a death. So they put an end to. They will never come back. They go for good. All the undesirable things go for good. Okay. And so this is all negative thing. Wears out and put an end to, and they are all negative. Tell something positive. Because we want to study out. You are very negative, and otherwise your Veda also will turn to be negative. And therefore, tell something positive. Okay, positive. Gamayati, Gantru. Sad indicates an agent to make you. Gamaitru. I should say Gamaitru. Gamaitru means it will take you. It will take you. Gamanam is a going. And basically here, Gati means, it's simply reaching or going. But here, it's an agent. So it takes you. It takes a jiva. It takes a pramata, let's say. It takes a pramata to the Brahman. Through the Mahavakya, of course. So you and Brahman become one. That is good. So Brahman is a desirable. Brahman is a sought. So not only it removes all anartha vratan, all undesirable things, it takes me to the most desirable thing in my life. That is Brahman. Everyone desires only this. They may not be knowing. That's their problem. Because of their papas, etc., the people don't understand. Really. What person wants in life is this only, and that is called Brahman. All people are born in this world with a single destination of reaching to Ishvara. That's all. Whether you accept Ishvara or not, that's your problem. But one knowingly or unknowingly is pursuing, Ishvara alone. So this is a positive gain, and therefore phalavat again, phalavat. So that is also a phalam. So phalavat arthabodhakam and anadigatatvam both are said by the single word called Upanishad. So Upanishad will become of course, and that I have told you, sad becomes shad because of the rule. Okay, now the word Upanishad means both the self-knowledge as well as the text in the form of words that reveals knowledge. Like the quantum mechanics, that particular book which has a title Quantum Mechanics, definitely has a subject matter also, quantum mechanics. Same way, Upanishad, that book which has a title Upanishad, whatever it may be, Kenopanisad, whatever, but ultimately that content also is Upanishad, right? Content is what? Self-knowledge, Upanishad. We have seen that's how the meaning of the word Upanishad. And this Upanishad is otherwise called Vedanta. Vedanta means what? Vedasya antaha. Vedasya antaha. Veda means a body of knowledge or knowledge. And antaha. Antaha means end. Oh, so Vedanta means an end of a knowledge. That's how people say end of knowledge. Means end of knowledge means most exalted knowledge. Pujya Swamiji says, no, don't think that way. But let's say it is a positional name. Generally, even that also, we find a lot of, it is not, positional means in the end portion of the Veda. End portion, that's a positional name. But that is also, we don't find. Ishavasya is in the very mantra section of the Veda, Shukla Yajurveda. Mantra section. See, in the Veda, there are various portions, First portion, mantra. And second portion, Brahmana. And then third is Aranyaka. And in the Aranyaka portion, the Upanishad should be there. Because Vedasya antaha. So at the end portion of the Veda, it should be there. But it is not. Ishavasya is right there in the first portion. Ishavasya is a mantra Upanishad. Taittiriya is a mantra Brahmana Upanishad. And therefore you find in a different section also. What I am saying is, but more or less, basically at the end portion of the Veda. And never think, when you open the Veda, you will find section 1, mantras. And after 300, 400 pages, section 2, Brahmana, etc. Nothing. No, nothing of that sort. Nothing of that sort. Then how will you determine that this particular mantra is a mantra portion or Brahmana portion? That's all job done by the acharyas. Abba, that's not our job. That's not our job. It's all mantra. Pages and pages of mantra. And then definitely this part should be taken into mantra section, and this is Brahmana and etc. All they have done. And that through that tool called Mimamsa. So proper analysis of the words, etc. And then they analyze and they make that kind of a division. Anyway, and so of course the Brahma Sutra also discusses this, that word Vedanta means not a culmination of knowledge or something. Well, that's not correct. It is only a positional name at the end portion of the Veda in general. And subject matter, of course, of any Upanishad is same self-knowledge. And so we have, Ishavasya, Ishakena, Katha Prashna, Mundaka Mandukya, Tittirihi, etc. You know very well. And so then Aitareya and Chandokyamcha, etc. Brihadaranyakams tatha. Like that, there is a Karika. In these 10 Upanishads are there. And all the 10 Upanishads have a same subject matter called self-knowledge. Then why so many Upanishads? Not only 10, there are 108. Not only 108, there are 1008. Then why? Because everywhere it is same self-knowledge then. Well, they are all from different Vedas, 4 Vedas, and therefore if you are studying your own branch of Veda, definitely it must have minimum one Upanishad. Then of course the Vedic vision of you that as a Brahman should be available to you, and therefore in the four Vedas there are different Upanishads. And why? But then why you all the time talk about 10? Why don't you talk about 108? You start one Upanishad today, then second, and then third, and you finish 10 Upanishad, and then again come back to the the first Upanishad. Instead, go throughout the life 108 Upanishad you study. Why are you not doing that? No Acharya is doing that. Why? Even Bhashyakara has written commentary on 10 Upanishads. Why? People ask so many questions like that because they feel, so you out of 100 or 1008, you consider only 10 are important. Then you say all Upanishad has the same self-knowledge. Yeah. The word Upanishad also indicates that. Yeah. Then why you are have such kind of a discrimination that this 10 principal Upanishad, they call principal Upanishad. Means all our other Upanishads are all subordinate? What? Then they have a subordinate self-knowledge or what? Maybe I think one gives a self-knowledge where they talk about a genuine self, and other must be talking about a non-genuine self, etc. etc. No. Don't worry about it, because Vyasacharya basically has written sutras pertaining to this 10 Upanishads. Of course, Kaushitaki, there are sutras for Kaushitaki also, where Bhashyakara has not written commentary. But generally, Bhashyakara has taken the writing a commentary on 10 Upanishads, because those 10 Upanishads have been discussed in Brahma Sutra by Vyasacharya. General. This is general statement. Don't bring anything to me. No, Swamiji, this particular Upanishad, see this. It is not there. So Kaushitaki, etc. I think in Brahma Sutra there is a discussion regarding some mantra of a Kaushitaki, and Bhashyakara has not written commentary on Kaushitaki. That's what right now my understanding is. Anyway, so this is how Bhashyakara has followed Acharya, Vyasacharya. And Vyasacharya, but why Vyasacharya is only chosen 10 Upanishad? Because there were some discrepancy, so-called discrepancy within the Upanishad mantras to resolve. He has chosen this 10. He cannot choose 1008. To study 555 sutras, you require 10 years minimum. Minimum 10 years. Then suppose if he writes commentary on 1008, suppose how many sutras, and when will you study and when will you complete? So by the time when you start study, you have a black hair, and by the time you finish the study, you will have no hair, and even the teeth have gone, and you will be keeping the book nearer and nearer, or maybe farther and farther, maybe, I don't know. So this is how it is. So it's better. Understand the purport of the Shastra is basically one. The Tatparya is one, and that is Atma is Brahman. You are Brahman. The one who comes to me, Shastra says, you are coming to me, well, I am a means of knowledge, and you are a knower, but I am telling you a truth about you. I am a mirror, and I am telling you a truth about you. I am showing yourself. I am simply a mirror. And Acharya holds the mirror in a proper way. That's very essential. Mirror is not only important. Holding a mirror in a proper way also is equally important. And therefore Acharya and Shastra definitely serves as a medium where you can see yourself clearly. You will get a knowledge of yourself. Anyway, and each Upanishad implies a teacher-student dialogue, and therefore, and if everywhere teacher-student dialogue, but still you will find each teacher has his own way of looking at the whole thing. Don't think that he has a new prakriyas. No, prakriyas are fixed. Shariratraya viveka, panchakosha viveka, karyakarana prakriya, avasthatraya prakriya. All these are prakriyas. They are with these prakriyas Dakshinamurti has taught, and with the same prakriya our Acharya has also taught. Only difference between the two teachers is basically, the examples would be different, language would be different, or presenting the matter would be little different. That's all. But the prakriyas are also, every teacher will bring out a new prakriya. No. Prakriyas are also there. Whatever they are there in Sampradaya, in the tradition, those prakriyas are employed by all the acharyas. But you can arrive at Brahman starting from anything. Starting from any starting point would be different, because Brahman is limitless. You can pick up this, really. You can pick up this and arrive at Brahman. Honestly, you can pick up this. Anything you can pick up, because ultimately everything is non-separate from Brahman. Brahman is limitless, and therefore person can start from any point and can arrive at Brahman. Therefore, in a teacher-student dialogue, of course, well, every Upanishad has a teacher-student dialogue, but everyone has his own way of looking at the whole thing. And Veda thus presents the subject matter from different standpoints through different Upanishads. And then certain topics may be emphasized in one Upanishad, certain topics, other topics may be highlighted in other Upanishad. So you see a few Upanishad from different standpoints, so that you understand the subject matter properly. And it's very essential to study a lot of Upanishad. Swamiji, it is one, people tell me that Mandukya eva alam. Moksha praptyartham Mandukyam eva alam. People have told me, if you want moksha, then Mandukya is just, it's enough, alam is enough, nothing else to be studied. Therefore, I don't study any other Upanishad. I only study Mandukya. And then I get tired, then I keep a break in between. Then again after some time I start again Mandukya. Don't do that job. Don't do that job. Study all other Upanishads. You will get an insight into the thing which will bring a great clarity. When you start a new Upanishad, you find that the same subject matter, that Brahman is you, etc., has been presented a little differently, and it has provided you a different understanding by which you gain a more clarity. Because the doubts are all there. How many doubts are there, I also don't know. When I study, I will find. And therefore, don't do that job. Wherever Acharya has written a commentary on that 10 Upanishads, of course, well, you can study. So, this is how regarding Upanishad. Now, name. So, to distinguish one Upanishad, all Upanishad has basically self-knowledge. That's a subject matter. And therefore, title also is Upanishad, everything fine. Then why 10 Upanishads have 10 names? So, well, we say, because we give some adjective to that Upanishad, even though all Upanishads have a same subject matter, that is self-knowledge. So, Prashna Upanishad, because there, the 6 students go to a teacher called Pippalada and ask questions. And that 6 questions and answer is Upanishad. So, we gave the name Prashna Upanishad. We means not me, the Acharyas have given the name Prashna Upanishad. And therefore, but Swamiji, in Veda it is called Prashna Upanishad. No, don't think. In that, let me see in this particular Veda where the Prashna Upanishad is there. And you whole Veda you see here and there, you won't find a title called Prashna Upanishad. You find some mantras which belong to Upanishad section. That's all it is. That's all it is. You won't find a title called Prashna Upanishad. That is given by the Acharyas, later Acharyas. And then Ishavasya Upanishad, because that name is given to the Ishavasya, etc. Well, because it begins with, the Upanishad begins with the mantra, like Ishavasyam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjithaha magrudah kasya svidhanam. So the Upanishad begins with the mantra, the word, first mantra, and that first word is Ishavasyam. So Ishavasya. That's how. They don't have a big thing in, name, Namakarana Vidhi. Not a big ceremony for giving a name. That is for children, not for the Upanishad. They just give a name. Even in Brahma Sutra, it is the same way. The name of Adhikaranas, the topics are given just from the first word of the sutra itself. Adhikarana contains sutra. So the first sutra, whatever the name is there, the first word. From that, the whole Adhikaranam will be called like that. So this is how it is. So anyway, Kenopanisad also, because it begins with the mantra called Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha, Kena prana prathama praiti yuktaha, etc., etc. So it begins with Kena. And Kena means by what, by whom, means by whom all the indriyas, all the sense organs are propelled towards Vishayas, etc. So That is how the word Kena is there in the first mantra, in the first word is there. So that this Upanishad is called Kenopanishad. But Swamiji, it is not Kena Upanishad. Keno Upanishad. Yeah, it is because Sandhi. Kena plus Upanishad becomes Keno Upanishad. It is a Guna Sandhi. A plus U becomes O. And therefore Keno Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, etc. etc. Mundako Upanishad. So Mundak plus Upanishad, Mundako Upanishad, etc. So that is how Prashno Upanishad. So Prashna plus Upanishad. So A plus U turns to O. Anyway, so this is how, and Bhashyakara has, this is the only Upanishad where Bhashyakara has written 2 commentaries. You can understand the importance of this Upanishad. He has written 2 types of commentaries and so enhancing its importance for those who seek self-knowledge. One commentary is called Padabhashyam. I mean the commentary based on the words of the mantras. And the other is Vakyabhashyam, a commentary based on the theme of the mantra. So Bhashyakara has written 2 commentaries parallel. Padabhashyam, Vakyabhashyam. Commentary based upon the words of mantra, explaining the words of the mantra, and then he thought, let me give a theme of the entire mantra. So he wrote another Bhashyam, Vakyabhashyam. This is the only Upanishad where you find 2 Bhashyam. Generally, Bhashyakara writes a commentary based upon the words of the mantra, explaining every word of the mantra, even the word he quotes, and then give a meaning, etc. Anyway, so this is way it is, we have completed the introduction of Kenopanishad, and from Monday we'll start with Shanti Patha and definitely begins the mantras also. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.